UK politics just exploded. Keir Starmer is rattled. And tonight, it's over. Because a private Labour WhatsApp chat has just leaked. And what's inside explains everything Starmer didn't want you to see. This isn't spin. This isn't rumour. This is what they were saying behind closed doors. Just days ago, something strange happened. Keir Starmer vanished from X. No posts, no statements, no replies. For nearly 10 days, silence. And people started asking questions. Why was the government suddenly talking about shutting down X? Why was Elon Musk being painted as the villain? And why did Labour MPs seem desperate to push everyone off the platform? At the time, we were told it was about safety, about AI, about protecting children. But that story never fully added up. Now we know why. Because newly leaked private WhatsApp messages show Labour MPs openly demanding that the government abandon X entirely. Not because it's dangerous, but because they can't control it anymore. They wanted to cancel the platform. They wanted to silence voices. And they wanted the public to follow without question. And Keir Starmer, he was right in the middle of it. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what was said, why Starmer disappeared, and why this leak has left Labour exposed and scrambling. Because once you see these messages, you'll understand why it may already be too late for Starmer to fix this. Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Britain Daily. It's completely free, and it helps us keep bringing you the hard-hitting stories that matter. Back to the chaos. Now here's where things start to get really uncomfortable for Keir Starmer and the Labour leadership. Because these messages weren't just casual grumbling, they reveal intent. This wasn't about protecting children. This wasn't about safety. And it definitely wasn't about some sudden moral awakening over AI. This was about control. For years, X, back when it was Twitter, operated like a perfectly managed echo chamber. Certain views were amplified, others quietly buried. Accounts were suspended, shadow banned, or wiped out entirely, often without explanation. And let's be honest, it wasn't random who got hit. When Elon Musk took over, that entire system cracked overnight. Suddenly, narratives could be challenged. Suddenly, screenshots didn't disappear. Suddenly, people who were previously silenced had a platform again. And that terrified them. Because governments, especially modern ones, don't just govern through policy anymore. They govern through perception, through headlines, through social media dominance, through managing what people see, hear, and most importantly, what they don't see. And X became the one place they couldn't fully control. So when you read these leaked WhatsApp messages, what you're actually seeing is panic behind the scenes. MPs openly discussing how to withdraw from a platform, not because it's ineffective, but because it's too effective. One message talks about showing direction to others in the UK. That's not leadership, that's signalling. That's hoping institutions, journalists, charities, and even private companies follow suit. In other words, if we leave, you should too. That's not organic migration, that's coordinated pressure. And notice something else. They weren't saying, we're not reaching people on X. They were saying, we don't like who owns it. They were saying, we don't like the speech on it. They were saying, we don't like that we can't shut people up anymore. That's the real issue. Because when one MP calls Elon Musk a fascist, while simultaneously pushing to remove a major platform from public discourse, you've got to ask, who's actually behaving like one? Especially when the alternative platforms being suggested, Blue Sky Threads, Instagram, all have one thing in common. They're tightly moderated, heavily curated, and politically very comfortable, safe spaces for approved narratives. And that's why this leak matters, because it shows that while Starmer stayed quiet on X for days, nearly 2 weeks, it wasn't accidental. It wasn't a break. It wasn't coincidence. It was deliberation. Behind closed doors, discussions were happening, strategies were being floated, and pressure was being applied, all while the public was being told nothing. And then suddenly, he came back. Why? Because they realised something crucial. You can't abandon X without consequences. Journalists still use it. Voters still use it. Opposition voices dominate it. And stories break there before they hit the mainstream press. Leaving X doesn't silence criticism. It amplifies suspicion. And that's when the damage was already done. Because once those WhatsApp messages leaked, the mask slipped. People could see exactly how Labour MPs talk when they think nobody's watching. They could see the disdain, the frustration, the desire to pull the plug on anything they don't control. And that's why Starmer looks rattled now. Not because of Elon Musk, not because of Grok, but because the public saw how the sausage is made. And once people see that, you can't unsee it. Here's the irony no one in Westminster wants to talk about. By trying to step away from X, they dragged more attention to it than ever before. The leaked messages didn't weaken Elon Musk's platform, they validated it. Because for millions of people watching this unfold, one thought kept coming up. If X is so irrelevant, why are they so desperate to leave it together? You don't coordinate exits from a platform that doesn't matter. You don't hold internal discussions about sending signals unless you're worried about influence. And you don't attack the owner personally unless the platform itself is hurting you. This wasn't confidence, it was fear. And the timing couldn't have been worse for Keir Starmer. At the very moment, Labour is trying to present itself as calm, competent, and in control. The leaks showed the opposite. Anxiety, irritation, and a deep frustration with a public they can no longer manage. Because something fundamental has shifted. Politics used to flow one way, from government to media to public. Now it's chaotic, decentralised, and uncontrollable. A clip on X can outrun a BBC segment. A screenshot can dismantle a press release. And a viral post can undo weeks of messaging in hours. That's the world Starmer is stepping into. And it's not one he built his career for. Worse still, the attempted pivot away from X didn't unite Labour. It exposed cracks. Some MPs stayed, some left. Some quietly came back, others never left at all. There was no unified stance, no clear leadership, just mixed signals and confusion. And voters noticed that. Because leadership isn't about hiding from uncomfortable spaces. It's about confronting them. And when the public sees politicians trying to opt out of scrutiny rather than face it, trust collapses. That's the real damage here. Not reputational, not digital, but credibility. Once people believe a party only wants to speak where it can't be challenged, every statement becomes suspect. Every clarification looks like spin. Every silence feels deliberate. Every delay feels calculated. And that perception sticks. Meanwhile, X continues doing exactly what it was designed to do. Please take a moment to like this video, expose and subscribe to Britain Daily, preserve receipts, it's completely free, and allow arguments, and it helps us keep bringing you the hard-hitting stories that matter, but visible. Back to the chaos. You don't have to like Elon Musk to see the problem for politicians. They've lost gatekeeping power, and once that power is gone, it doesn't come back. So when Starmer finally returned to X, the damage was already locked in. The narrative had moved on, the questions had hardened, and the screenshots had spread. This wasn't just a bad week for Labour, it was a warning shot, a glimpse of a future where politicians can't quietly steer debate behind closed doors, and where every attempt to do so risks blowing up in their face. And if this is how Labour reacts before an election, imagine what happens after. This is about power slipping away. Keir Starmer didn't clash with a platform. He clashed with a new political reality. A reality where narratives can't be controlled. Gatekeepers don't decide what matters. And authority has to be earned in public, not managed in private. The coordinated exit from X, the behind-the-scenes messages, the awkward silence, the quiet return. Each moment told the same story. The old system is struggling to survive in a new world. For decades, British politics relied on a closed loop. Politicians spoke, media filtered, the public received, but that loop is broken. Now the public talks back, now receipts live forever, now contradictions are searchable. Now silence is louder than statements. And Starmer, a politician shaped by institutions, rules and process, suddenly finds himself in an arena that rewards speed, confidence and confrontation. That's why this moment matters, because it shows what happens when a leadership class built for control runs into a system built for exposure. This wasn't sabotage, this wasn't a smear, this wasn't a right-wing plot, it was self-inflicted. A misjudgment of how much the landscape has changed and how little patience voters now have for political choreography. And here's the brutal truth. You don't rebuild trust by choosing safer rooms. You don't look strong by avoiding challenge. And you don't win the future by retreating from it. This episode didn't make Labour look modern. It made them look uncertain. It didn't project authority. It revealed hesitation. And in politics, hesitation is fatal. Because voters aren't asking for perfection anymore. They're asking for honesty, consistency, and the courage to stand where the argument actually is, not where it's comfortable.